Good morning to everybody, and thank you also for the opportunity to share with you our experience on this field. So my presentation is focused on some evidence from Italian national case studies on worker participation and representation in the digital transition. And to start, just a few words about this context. So it's known that digitalization has changed the world of work, introducing also some new form of organization, such, for example, based on gig economy models. So with this respect, almost 28 million of people in Europe are work through digital platform, and this number is going to also to reach 43 million of people by the end of this year. Also in Italy, more than 2 million of Italians earn income through digital platform, and of course with different kind of contract as well. So, for example, almost 60% of platform workers in Italy are self-employed. In this context, also systems based on algorithmic management can have a negative impact also on psychosocial well-being, and actually with this respect, also according to Ashford's 2022 survey, more than 50% of European workers experience also an increasing in terms of speed of pace due to digital technology. So, of course, it's important in this context also to mention the European Artificial Intelligence Act that classify as high risks AI systems that are used to evaluate, to assess the performance of workers, and also to, for example, to assign tasks and so on. And of course, if these systems are well managed, can also, of course, improve working conditions. For example, promoting also innovative prevention systems. Also, the Italian National Prevention Plan 2025 called for a culture of PEROSH in dealing with digital transformation. So, in this context, INAIL funded and also took part of a Prepara project, which was focused on prevention, participation, and worker representation in the digital transition. And this project was coordinated by Politecnico of Milan, with involvement also of Sapienza University of Rome, and also some other research institutions, and of course with the involvement of the main trade unions at the national level. And the project analyzed both the context, so the digitalization of production processes, and also a new form of organization through digital platform. The objective was to better understand the implications and impact of digital transformation on us, especially focusing the attention on worker participation and also work organization. And a mixed method approach was used, mainly based on field studies. So different phases were considered in this process. For example, interview addressed to the stakeholder and main expert of this field, participatory workshop as well, and also, of course, emblematic company case studies that allow us also to better understand which was the real application of technology and also of artificial intelligence in the real context. And this was probably the main and the core phase of our project. So the case studies were selected taking into account a balance among all the sectors analyzed, considering also long-standing and also recent innovation context, and of course a different type of technology used. So starting from, for example, from Industry 4.0 until anti-platform workers economy. So here you see the 8 case studies analyzed, broken down by sector, phase of production, and also type of technology. As you can see, the same type of technology can have different role and different functions. So, for example, in the case of Just Eat, so in the world of rider, the platform is used to organize workers based on rating, based on worker performance, and so on. While in Helpling, which is a cleaning service company, the platform has only a role of intermediation between supply and the demand flow, so with completely different implications in this sense. The data were collected through documentary sources and also through in-depth semi-structured interviews, taking into account the different role of interviewed people and also the inclusion of PEROSH professionals, both at company and at regional level as well. And at the end, about 10 keynote speakers were interviewed among employer and safety manager, occupational physicians, both the health and safety and union representatives, and of course workers as well. So all these results are collected described in a book, in a volume, which is written in Italian, unfortunately only in Italian, but anyway, we are now, there is also an executive summary in English that is going to be published in the next months, we hope. And also comparative analysis was carried out, taking into account different analytical dimensions, such as, for example, work organization, quality of work, industrial relations, and prevention systems. So starting with the work organization in general, in more traditional context, the innovation and also changes tend to be more gradual, while in more innovative one, there are new models, and so new models actually is increasing and is emerging. But in general, there is an impact in terms of high flexibility, streamlined processes, and also optimization, and in some cases also intensification in terms of time and resources. Here we reported some example in terms of patterns of work organization. So, for example, lean manufacturing in the case of Ferrero, and a more flexible use of both space of time in case of Vodafone due to the large use of remote working. The impact of quality of life is actually dual. On one hand, there are risks related with intensification of work pace, increase in terms of monitoring of people and evaluation of performance, and also there is a link between workload and productivity and pay. And in some cases also fragmentation of work that can have also an impact in terms of, for example, loss of meaning. And here in the slide we reported also some case studies, some company that experience this kind of consequences and of situations. And on the other side, in more automized context, it emerges a reduction in terms of risk of accident and physical strain due to the introduction of safer tools and machinery, and also, of course, increasing in terms of production of data and information and worker participation as well. What is interesting is that in the context based on a digital platform, it emerges a reduction in terms of irregular work, irregular contract, and this is probably due to the presence of the platform itself. But anyway, in all cases analyzed, in all contexts, the emerging risks, unfortunately, are still under-addressed, and this is due, of course, because of low awareness in this new context and type of organization. Here we reported a focus on Amazon, which used warehouse management systems based on cloud technologies that optimize all the processes, all the warehousing processes. And in this case, the employers interviewed reported an emphasis in terms of workplace safety, and also an attention regarding the prevention of injuries, and also in the field of ergonomic risks. On the other hand, the employees and also the unions interviewed reported an increase in terms of health problems due to the rhythms and also caused, for example, by the repetitiveness of the task. Now, the case of Just Eat. In Italy, since 2021, riders are employees, so they follow the OSH national legislation, but there is still a lack of information about the medium, but especially long-term risks, such, for example, musculoskeletal disorder, evolution, and so on. And also, it's important that there is a lack also of transparency of the algorithm, that it is defined at central level, so without taking into consideration, for example, the features of the territory, the characteristics of the rider, the profile of the worker, and so on. So it is important in this case, of course, to adapt the algorithm to these issues. And on the basis of prevention systems, in the more mature systems, there are some strengths, such as a well-established industrial relations, an active involvement of health and safety representatives, and also of worker participations. But anyway, there are still some challenges across all these company analyzed, so across all this context, due to the fragmentation of the relationship among stakeholders, and also the centralization of procedures, and the difficulties in a relationship among the OSH professionals at local level and at central level. And this is actually true in both long-standing and recent innovation context. So just to conclude, this comparative analysis shows that there are different trends with respect to prevention systems and the role of health and safety representatives. Of course, there are multiple factors that can impact on both risks and protection and opportunities. In general, findings show a wide variability, so from, for example, a greater autonomy to stronger algorithmic control and work and intensification of work. And so in this context, it is important the role of health and safety representative from the beginning of the process, so the involvement on the design, also on the design phase, and also, of course, the active worker participation. And these results are also actually in line with the results of EWASH report, which was recently published in 2024 that is just focused on the impact and the implication of artificial intelligence and algorithmic management on worker participation and worker representation. So in this sense, the call to action is, of course, to go forward on this analysis of this context, especially the critical one, and also to strengthen representation, considering the inclusion also of innovative prevention tools, and of course inclusive training as well. And so that's it, and thank you very much for your attention.
Are there any